Well, welcome to Living Arts. I'm Steve Liggett, the artistic director here, and we are going to have a little time to be able to, for the artists to speak about their work. We are very, very pleased to have with us this month two fantastic artists, Virginia Coleman and Michelle Reed. And Virginia is going to speak at first. And please come closer so she doesn't have to yell. And also, if you'd like to ask anything about her work, this is her work on this side, and we're very pleased that she came from Denver to be able to have this show here. So please welcome Virginia Coleman.
And thanks for coming early to hear me talk about this work. The work has come over a 2-year process. I started drawing the figure using a stick, actually, in ink here at the Philbrook about a year ago. So all the black and white drawings I did at the Philbrook. My thought was I really want to take the figure and start distilling it down to its least amount of lines possible to really just sort of break it down. So I started drawing it with the ink. So all the ink ones I did a stick drawing. And the point with that also is that when you dip it in the ink, you have to start, the line's going to start thick and then it's going to thin out. So you really have to stop and think about every line, and there's no erasing, so it really made me stop and think about everything I was doing. So then the next year came along, and then I started making sculptures out of steel, trying to use those simple lines and create a form that was very abstract but resonated from the drawings. And as you walked around it, it would sort of change and move, kind of like a figure does. Clearly my medium's metal, that's my baby. And I like to use metal, it reflects, grabs light, be welded together and be very strong. So anyway, so then the second year came along, and then I started to draw again when I moved to Denver using color. And that made me start to add color to the sculptures. So I was like, well, if I'm going to add some color to the drawings, I might as well put them into the sculptures. And then I started using just a flat piece of steel to draw the lines and break it down even more using welding as the medium that I would draw with, which is very difficult because you can't overheat it, you burn holes, and there's no erasing, and all la la la. But then you can grind the metal and make the form come out three-dimensional, and the light changes everything. I mean, you walk around I call them weld paintings, but you walk around them and it's going to change and undulate with the steel, and you as the viewer add warmth to the piece, so it's a living entity unto itself. It's no longer in my hands. But and then I started doing these sculptures to try to break the line down and put them into a three-dimensional space. And I'm not very good at talking about my art, but that's kind of what it's like. I apologize. I was never good at talking in school, I'm not really good at it. But I'm proud of the work, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I look forward to pressing it even more as I go along. And like this piece is more an installation concept. The mirror, you're supposed to see the figure from above. So it was me pushing myself further and further. That's all I have to say, really.
Quick questions from the audience that you think you'd like to ask? I think one of the most interesting things personally in working with Virginia as we installed the show, she talked a little bit more about, people think of abstraction as something completely devoid of subject matter, but her work is actually a reflection of the drawings, and so you'll see pockets of pieces that all relate together, from the drawing to the color sketch to the welded piece on the wall to then the three-dimensional piece that she's made. So I think that might give you a clue as you look at things and see relationships in them.
Yeah, I was trying to get the viewer involved in abstraction, because I think if I just put the abstract sculptures, people wouldn't really understand what's going on. And the point is that we all start from life, and we start to distill it down into abstraction. And too often people don't understand abstract art because they just didn't get the first seedling of thought. So my point with this show is to really show people that it starts from me drawing from life, and then just breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down, and then you come up with these pieces, which are, abstract, stronger, older concepts. But I just want to get people involved in it.